Did you get there right away?
What's the weather supposed to be like?
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. We'll call the September 18th Barnes County North School Board meeting to order. If you'd like to rise, we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Curry, we have some table and any additions?
No additions, just those tabled ones that I mentioned to you earlier.
Okay, I'll get to them.
Yep.
Okay, so first thing we'll look at is our consent agenda, which covers our minutes, bills, and financial reports. If there's any questions on any of those. Any questions on those? If not, we would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion, Jennifer, to approve?
I'll second.
Second by Michelle. When you're ready, Lindsay.
Michelle,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yep.
Mike,
Yes.
DJ,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Cody,
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Okay, nothing patron you have?
Nope.
Okay, we'll turn it to you for superintendent AD report.
Open positions, you can see those. Hopefully be able to talk with somebody about elementary boys that showed interest. But I'll see them tomorrow, so talk to them about that and see where that lies and if it's a possibility. Hopefully it'll work. For that, as I said earlier, we purchased this skid steer with an additional 3-year warranty for that, and I think we will be buying a pickup for the plow truck probably tomorrow for that, and then we'll be looking at plows after that. That Office of Civil Rights, like I said, if anybody's interested, you're more than welcome to read that report, which is, I think he said it was like 7 pages, which he said this was one of the cleaner reports he's ever done, and it's still 7 pages, so I would hate to see what a long one looks like for that, but still some just discriminatory statements need to be on our website, on our letterhead, in the handbooks, whether it be elementary, secondary, and staff. It's actually ding me because it's in 2 places. He only wants it in 1 place, and that, which is fine. I mean, those are very easy to do. Same thing with the handicap sticker on the door. That can be seen from the road. Very easy to do. The other ones, actually the eye wash, it's not, pretty minimal cost, pretty easy. For those as well, it's the toilets and it's the fax room one, because fax requires some demolition, which is weird because you go in the fax room in the sinks right here on the lower one, the handicapped area one, the sink's right here, and about 3 feet to the right on the countertop, there is a place for the wheelchair to go underneath, but it doesn't go underneath the sink where they can wash their hands and do that stuff. So that'll require a little demolition and maybe moving of a little bit of plumbing for that. It's went through all the bathrooms, locker rooms, all the bathrooms. All of toilets 18 inches on center, fine, meets code. Get to the last ones in the commons here, and they're sitting at 21 inches on center for whatever reason. So they need to be either moved over 3 inches, which those are into a brick wall for that, or as Bud and I talked about, can we just build our wall out 3 more inches, put the bar on there, and call it good? I don't know, I need to do some checking on that, but that would be a lot cheaper fix than having to move those toilets.
A purse holder would be great.
Yeah, well, there you go, a little ledge, yeah, for your hand or something. So those are the 2 biggest ones. I mean, it was, I don't know, was 4 hours, Lindsay, was he here?
Yeah.
For that, so Yeah, so I pretty much spent most of my time with him. He met with and this is all secondary stuff, nothing elementary. Could have cared less about the elementary. Went through the high school end because it deals with CTE classes for that. So he met with our CTE teachers, Mrs. Loja, Mrs. Heinze, met with our high school counselor, Mrs. Broughton. I met with them, didn't need to meet with Mr. Locken, nobody else. So did that, and then I took him through the walkthrough, and that was then just went through his findings with him around noon, and he was out of here. So really wasn't that bad. It's just when you got to start hammering into stuff, you know, it just, you can see the dollar signs. Yeah,
Is there a fee for them to come do that, or that's just a state required thing
just
they
a
do?
state
Okay.
required
Check.
random selection supposedly thing for that. So take
When
it
do
for
they come back then?
what's that?
How long do you have to make these improvements?
So I, like the non-discriminatory ones till December, like the website ones or the handbook ones, December. The other ones, August of next year. Because I basically said, this is not getting done during the school year.
Right.
I'll just tell you this right now for that. And we can set August for next year, but if I have to hire a plumber or whatever, or
Right.
whomever I gotta hire, if they don't show up, there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, we'll get it scheduled or figure out what we have to do, but
I could find you a plumber that'll never show up.
I want one that will though. Because I'm not sure how many extensions he's gonna give me. Because if you would have sat with this guy, he took his job very seriously. There was
They usually do.
pretty
Yeah.
straight-faced, and there wasn't a lot of wiggle room for jokes or anything else.
So we don't
in
send
there.
Eric in there.
Right, no, for that. So on those,
I'll go.
August of 2025.
Okay.
For that. And then, I don't know, a month ago now, I suppose, met with District 24 Dems and Republicans, and we talked property tax. We talked retirement, you know, recruitment, retention, school choice, which it's gonna go. I think the idea with school choice is it's just a matter of, you know, as far as public schools and what we're able to live with it, but it's gonna pass. Moving forward with that. School constructions, that school facilities, they're still, I think they're ramping up to make a big push coming up here. Looking for some money for that one now too, with that coalition. And then, you know, a lot of it hopefully is, you know, that unneeded fund balance. To me, just go away. Be done with it. Let us take care of our own money. Transportation, they need to. They haven't done anything with transportation for 20 years. They need to look at transportation costs for that. And yes, maybe do we need to look at maybe some efficiencies? Yeah, I think we do. But they also need to start funding it for what it really is. For that, and same thing with special education and behavioral health, or some other big ones too. With that, so that's what I got. If there's any questions.
None, thank you. Mr. Locken, secondary.
Uh,
Oh,
Do I do Mr. Schaefer, see if
you
he's
doing
got
this, or?
anything?
You wanna do it, Stacy? You wanna do the
Check with
AD?
him.
Yeah.
and-
Okay,
Basically, if there's any questions with the report that I gave you, I'll just touch upon a couple things there. I know that there's gonna be one that's gonna be a pretty important topic here that we're gonna be discussing, I'm sure. Have that SEAD meeting in Southeast, admins, or athletic director meeting. And then piggybacked off of that was the District 1 meeting as well.
Can I ask what FAT is, F-A-T?
That's a timing system.
Okay, thank you.
And that should say way, not locked.
yeah.
This is all up for their vote, the state vote.
Okay.
This hasn't passed yet, but this is just up for their vote.
Thank you.
I believe we're the only state that still does handheld times for qualifying, and they want to get rid of that.
Okay.
That's what that's about. Fan injection policy, There's gonna be discussion on that yet with the state as this year progresses. What's in place right now is what's in place, but I'm sure there's gonna be some discussion after their trial and error year right now. Football co-op, again, talking with Mr. Johnson, he wants to kind of sit down with myself, Curry, Mr. Curry, and Mr. Hunt, and look at those projected numbers, and then just see what's gonna happen with that. And I keep telling them, well, we're not gonna sit around and wait so much, we're gonna try to keep moving forward, but we'll see what happens with that, so it's kind of a waiting game right now. With boys basketball, I sat down Friday after I sent this out with the two coaches, George Straub and Shane Everson, talked a little bit about their co-coaching expectations with that, how it's gonna look. Contract offered, Mr. Curry and myself adjusted that. It's not gonna be what it is, we're gonna adjust it to 4,800 each. So if you wanna write that number down. The previous one, if I did the head coach plus the assistant, divide that by 2, was like 44 or something. So we just adjusted that to 4,800. Junior high coach, Ross Bollingberg. And Mr. Curry said that we possibly have one. I was notified today that if that doesn't work out, we might have a second one. I just didn't get a chance to talk to Mr. Curry about that yet. And we'll see about that one then. So hopefully the first one might work out here. I came back Monday from the AD Fall workshop. I kind of knew what I was getting into when I took this position. Going to that workshop for 3 days, coming back Monday, I really know what I'm getting in with this position now. It is an eye opener. It is a lot of work, and I'll do my best job along with Mr. Curry to hopefully do the school district justice here. Yeah, you want to continue on, or you want to go wait until the extracurricular meeting?
Wait till
Wait for that.
curricular, yep.
Yeah, we'll wait for that.
We'll wait for that one then. Other than that, I don't think I had anything really with that AD meeting. Just some policies maybe to look at, and I kind of talked to Mr. Curry about this too. One biggest one would be the air quality policy that a lot of schools have been talking about. When do we shut down things, activities, whatever the case might be, if we have outdoor activities. So that's something that kind of start thinking about.
External or internal or both?
That's outside.
External.
Yeah, that's
How would you
outside.
monitor that? The state doesn't have an air quality index.
There's some type of index that they use, some type of app that they use,
Really?
yeah. And I know a lot of schools with their outside recess or outside school day stuff, I think the health department has it set at 150, I believe. I think that's, the health department has that set maybe. I'm not 100% sure on that. So no recess, outdoor activities during the school day, since school is a mandated thing. For that, with the extracurriculars, it kind of gets a little fuzzy then, because we don't necessarily have to do it, but we probably should think about it, because that is a volunteer type of thing. It's not mandated. But I know a lot of schools, automatically if it's at 200, but I know a lot of schools are kicking back to like 180. And that last week, that one day, it was at, I think what they said with their app, most of the schools were saying it was like 210 that particular day. So that's just one thing that I think that we need to consider with those. I'm not talking school-wide, that's your guys' deal, but I think any type of outdoor extracurriculars that we'd have to have something there. Other than that, that's Mr. Gray and myself will have to take a look at a few of these things then. Questions so far? Till the extracurricular meeting?
Questions?
Committee? Okay.
Hearing none, thanks, Stacy. Mr. Locken.
All right. Well, in my report, I had quite a few student activities that are going on. SCCLA, they had their district organizational planning meeting. Homecoming week's going right now. Have the court listed in there, as well as our king and queen. Sophomores and juniors went to a career fair, a college fair actually, today with Mrs. Broughton in Jamestown. 24th, next Tuesday, we will have our 10th through 12th grade doing the Alive at 25 course from the North Dakota Safety Council. Mr. Severson's actually going to be one of the teachers. And that's going to be really good. I handed out all the registration forms and stuff, so there's a few of them that could use it. Yeah, it's a defensive driving course, so.
And
Classroom one, yeah.
the state had gotten a grant
Yep, they're
for
funding
it,
it.
so
Yeah.
normally it would have cost us, what, $2,600, something like
It was
that?
like 30, 40 bucks a kid or something
Yeah,
like that.
for that, 'cause
So will everybody's
it's free
insurance
for
get
our
a credit
kids.
then?
So that was really nice, and it'll lower
does.
car insurance rates for parents, and then get a point back for kids that have lost anything, so.
Holy buckets.
But as long as they get me their registration forms, and I have all that stuff by next week, so. But that'll be a really good opportunity for them. I didn't include, I forgot to put in there that the welding kids are going on a field trip with VOTEC tomorrow morning, really early, there's 3 of them. October 2nd, Health Careers is doing a similar field trip, both of those are down to Wapaton to NDSCS. Creative Writing had a field trip on the 4th over to Mrs. McGee's cabin. That was really cool that they got to have that opportunity. Valley Plains, they just had a speaker come in, Mrs. Lilja did for the ag classes yesterday. She said that was really good, talking college and career planning, and then also talking about like what you can get through Valley Plains for your education, so. And then Independent Living will have a guest speaker on the 27th as well. So, been pretty busy with student activities right now, and then same with PD, September, October, always the busy ones for admin. You can see I have quite a few listed there. We had, biggest one that I'll point out is that Mrs. Bussey and I went to the Marzano training in Grand Forks. That was really good to start getting ready for our evaluations, so that we're ready to start working with our new tool. We've got to do some work together to get stuff ready for that. That was a busy day between the 11th and 12th. I was in I left at 6:30 in the morning for Mandan, got back, filled gas, ate, and took off for Grand Forks that night, so. That was a lot of fun. But, and I've got a couple online ones I've done next week. We'll be in Bismarck on the 25th. So, for homelessness liaison and then foster care. Yeah. And then I had the update on cell phones. The only class when I had my staff meeting that had issues was dual credit English, and that was because I didn't have any work the first couple weeks really, because college started later, so. But otherwise, staff said things have gone well with that. So, and then we'll talk later about the eligibility change I'd like.
Any questions, Mr. Locken? Thank you. Mrs. Bussey, elementary principal.
So picture day, I think preschool was done before Mrs. Nelson even got out of PLCs, and it seemed to be successful, so that's a good thing.
Pictures aren't back yet, so let's.
I know, that's what you tell her.
Yeah.
That is true. Oh, she's here, look at that. She didn't.
Not just for her class, I meant everybody.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
many retakes?
There was syrup that morning at breakfast, so, yes. Our first Mentor Monday happened, and so, we have applied for and gotten the, North Dakota Health Grant each year that pays for a team to go to the Rough Rider Conference, and it's all about health and wellness, and I was told it used to be a lot of physical health, now it's both, a mixture of mental well-being, and so the team came up with 3 goals that they want to work towards, and one of them is just refining what we're doing with the house systems of the mentor-mentee, and making them purposeful. So I think there were 107 Bison Pride cards, so they reviewed what Bison Pride stood for when you show Bison Pride, and kids were writing out cards to somebody who demonstrated that in our building. So Jamestown just happened to be on a rotation of training their new teachers for the Steve Dunn writing. I shared some Steve Dunn samples, and I've been collecting samples from all grade levels throughout the last 5 years because I want to show that the investment was worth it. And this year, since they were training some new teachers, they are allowing some of our new staff to come and train with them. And so they're just doing half days instead of the full days. And then Mrs. Bryn also, after some training this summer, has been providing a PLC format for teachers each week. So MTSS, they want you to continue doing trainings every year, but we feel we're in a really good spot to refine what we're already doing. Dakota Family Services started the second week, and we have Kayla coming in, and we hope she's our only one from now on. I said if we get another one, we're probably not going to, because we really need to work on those relationships. I was told she's from Valley City or went to college in Valley City, so hopefully she's okay with the middle of nowhere. And
No, middle of everywhere.
middle of everywhere, that's a good way to put it, and she'll stay. But Mrs. Anderson really took over the between person, just with her counseling background, and that has been going really well. And then I'll still do the budgeting, pay mileage side of it through the grant. Something new under elementary happenings is Kim Knodel from Valley City State reached out, and they have 3 people who, 3 student teachers who requested to be placed at our school this spring. And so I had a nice phone conversation with him on Monday, and I have a voicemail on my phone right now, so I'm assuming it's him following up. But always good to have people want to be in our building. We also have UJ coming, some UJ students coming again for 6 days this fall. The events, like Mr. Locken said, it's been a little crazy, and with PD, and Marzano was great, and I just asked him, are you available this day? And he goes, nope, pep rally. And I'm like, when are we going to get to meet at some point? But we've been doing a lot of texting and trying to communicate. Hopefully things will settle down now after homecoming. There are 4 staff members that went to restorative conference training in Devils Lake. This was through the mental health grant. We did it 5 years ago, and lots of really great feedback on that on the way on the drive. We're able to debrief. It was National IT Professional Day. If you look, there's a poster out there recognizing Ms. Bitts in the Commons, and I know she's been busy planning the PD that they'll be going to for NDT, whatever that acronym is. Yes, School Custodian Day is also on October 2nd, and then we have our peer leaders who applied, and there's 5 of them this year, and that would be Paisley, Kennedy, Adeline, Olivia, and Aubrey. So congrats to them, and Mrs. Anderson is going to start working with them next week. And then tomorrow morning I'm gone for ortho appointments, just quick in the morning, and they're letting us book our children's appointments together so we can alternate who drives, which is wonderful. Other than that, it's just getting past the beginning of the year, like he said, with the
endless PD this time.
endless PD, yes, and I will be going the day after we go for the special programs training, because we do on the 26th have the school-wide Title I training, and so I told Mrs. Miller I'd go and we do all the paperwork as a team and make sure that nobody feels alone in the process. So,
Okay. Any questions? Not, thank you. Mrs. Bitts,
I'm up next.
you're up next.
Our new audio system is installed. We had a few little hiccups along the way, getting it started. They put in some new devices that were just released last spring that had some power issues, so that was giving us a little bit of a headache, but Audio Enhancement came in from Utah and took everything out and was proactive and put all new ones in, because some of the ones that we had were in a bad batch that they identified with some issues. So ever since that has happened, we've been up and running and things are going pretty well. Kim and I went through a training with them on the emergency part of it and how teachers can issue safe alerts, and what that looks like in the process that needs to take place with that. And then we also talked about that this morning in our in-service
along with Mr. Curry covering some emergency types of situations and responses. So, I put in my report just a huge thanks to Mrs. Bussey and Mr. Locken and Mrs. Broughton for the beginning of the year. It's always hectic getting kids. This is our first year that we rolled over ClassLink, which is our auto rostering system. And so much of that depends on those people and having their stuff done. If that's not done, it snowballs down to my stuff. I can't roster kids when kids aren't scheduled and stuff, so, those three worked really hard this summer and need to be recognized for that time that they put in, and this year was just, it was nice. It was such a crazy start to the school year. It's crazy, but it's a good because just things seem to be a lot smoother this year. We started Ed Chat sessions today, and they'll continue to occur on Wednesdays. Those are just the little PD sessions I do with teachers that are completely optional. So they just come in over their lunch hour. We get a pretty good turnout. Elementary is usually a pretty regular customer, and then they can apply for credit at the end of the year, cafeteria credit. So we started that today. And then I'm in the NDATL, I serve on that North Dakota Association for Technology Leaders board through 2025. And we have our conference coming up in October that I'm busy with prepping. We're in Jamestown this year, so that'll be really nice. Any questions?
Okay, thanks. Committee reports. We want to start with extracurricular?
You wanna go on to the other ones?
Huh?
Go up to the other ones first, or you wanna go more?
Okay.
Budget and finance is pretty much,
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Coming up
budget,
to the
finance, and
agenda,
negotiations,
so-
let's
Yeah.
defer back
So
to
you
the
can check
budget
those ones
tax.
off.
What's that?
So you can check those ones off real quick.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't really have anything else to say
Nope.
other than what we went
Till
through
we
in
get to the budget,
today.
yep.
Yeah.
So go ahead, jump.
I'm done,
Okay.
you're
It's
up.
all yours.
Kind of touched up a little bit about the football co-op. Maple River respectfully declined the request for co-op. No official word back from Griggs Dakota yet, right, Mr. Curry?
correct.
Okay, again, that doesn't look too promising for us. They want to stay class 9-man for football, so I think that one's gonna be a no-show with that one. Again, sitting down with the Valley City people, take a look at those numbers. The adjusted enrollment comes out when, like a week or so, probably from now?
I would say couple weeks, probably right
So-
towards the end of
So then we can get those
September.
adjusted numbers so that we can go ahead and take a look at what those projections will be with the Valley City schools. October 15th is that reclassification meeting for football, so that's where they're gonna take a look at those numbers and reclassify if they need to. Okay, Pingree Buchanan Co-op. Pingree Buchanan came to us because I believe that's pretty much gonna be a done deal with Medina. I think they're gonna dissolve their co-op with Medina. So Pingree Buchanan came to us with possible co-op for volleyball, girls basketball, boys basketball, track and field, cross country, and baseball. Their numbers, right now, their numbers for volleyball are big numbers, but I think the majority of those numbers are Medina. And so next year, they're gonna be hurting, I believe, the numbers of their volleyball. And that's kind of where they were looking at right now, is how they're gonna help that volleyball. And on our side of it, our girls' basketball numbers are not that great. Volleyball numbers are okay right now, but they're declining as well. So right now, this is in the talks. I know I talked to Lucas Kafer out at the workshop or the conference this weekend, and he got back to me on some of their survey. And I didn't have anything when I put this report out, but when I talked to him, he had 109 responses back on the online survey. He had a bunch of mail outs that he hasn't received yet. He was gonna get back to me when they came back in. And on that survey, he had possible co-ops with other schools. And I think there was like 4 other situations for them. And the majority response, 68%, was with BCN. And that's just the online.
That's parents
That's community, whatever.
Community
All
in
stakeholders.
total,
All
it's all
stakeholders.
open, it's not just
Yep.
school
He sent that out to
specific.
he sent that out to the community
Okay,
of Pingree Buchanan, and 109 responses came back with the online stuff, not the mail-in stuff, not
Right.
the mail stuff yet. And he
I
said
just didn't know what
about
its population
68%.
was, so thank you.
Was one of those options to stay with Medina?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
So
so,
that,
wasn't
there
it?
was, it wasn't if they were to leave, it was chosen over staying
I
with
think,
them.
I think that was on that sheet that survey that went out, I believe. Yes.
Yes, I believe they asked, are you happy with our
Happy with our
current co-op? Are you okay with what Medina is asking for as far as X number of games over and above what they're already taking? It was probably, what, a 3-page-ish survey?
Yep.
For that, because they sent it to us just so that we could look at it, because if conversations,
Yeah,
if conversations do go anyplace, at some point, we're gonna have to do the same thing.
Well, it gives us an idea, since they put that survey out, it gives us an idea if we're going to pursue this, kind of keep that survey a little bit consistent with what they kind of had on what we want to push out to our community members, if this is something that we want to consider. Taking a look at numbers, volleyball right now, 7 through 12, I believe is 21, around there, Ms. Curry, correct? I think those are
Correct.
21.
ours or theirs?
Ours.
Ours, okay.
This is ours, so we're strictly just gonna take a look at us and if this co-op, is something that we really need to dive into, to talk with it.
7 through 12, you said?
That's 7 through 12. And I believe 5th and 6th grade, I put up, projected numbers to the extracurricular committee members, projections of volleyball, girls' basketball, and boys' basketball for the next 5 years, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
With girls' basketball, I just took a look at the sign-up sheet because we have some preliminary stuff with girls' basketball. There's a sign-up sheet in the office. There was 7 signed up, 2 of them were junior high.
7 through 12.
5 were 9 through 12. As of right now, I mean, the season doesn't start until November 18th, but,
Still not.
and we've known that the girls' basketball program has been in decline for a handful of years now. Boys' basketball is still kind of holding somewhat strong, but I feel that those numbers are gonna kind of go down a little bit as the years come up, just because of enrollment purposes. But I think the boys' basketball is still fairly strong yet. But the main one is the girls' basketball program.
Did you have a guesstimate for 7 through 12 on boys' basketball?
With boys' basketball,
Yep,
I think I had about 18, 19, or 7 through 12.
7 through 12, you, just
Well,
to be
there'll be
consistent with the
more.
other
There'll be
ones.
more, there'll be over 20s,
Okay.
they'll be
20-ish.
close to 27, 28 kids, I'm sure, out for that.
Okay,
I was projecting about 18 for 9 through 12.
okay, thank you. Just for consistency's sake.
I lost track, what else did
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I don't have those numbers.
The numbers that I did go out with, yeah, I don't have them with me on the top of my computer here. The numbers that I did shoot out, the numbers are, they might seem large numbers with the co-op. I think with the co-op with volleyball, I think the numbers were up to 57 through 12 for volleyball for next year.
I think,
But
if
you
I
take a look
remember.
at those numbers there, we're talking 7 through 12. That means we could possibly have a 7th grade team, 8th grade team. We could possibly do a C squad, JV, and varsity. We could have 5 levels of volleyball with those girls getting time. And they're still gonna be competitive.
Yep.
So that's another thing that I think that we need to consider and look at, and that's gonna be across the board too with girls' basketball and the boys' basketball too. There's gonna be larger numbers, of course, with the co-op. And you might have more levels. With the track and field and cross country, I don't think they had a lot of cross country people. I think they only had like 3, 2 of them were like junior high. Track and field, I don't know how many were out for track and field with that. Baseball, they're starting the baseball program over there. They wanna be on their own. I think they're in the works of making a baseball field over in Pingree right now. They haven't quite started, but I think they have materials for it. Because that was one thing too that was gonna hurt us with the Valley City dissolvement was the baseball program too. Because baseball in Valley City is gonna go down to Class B. Football and wrestling, they co-op with Carrington. I don't know if they're going to get away from that co-op. I think they'll stay with that. Football, the football between us and Pingree Buchanan, I don't know if that's gonna be necessarily an option. So this is another thing that we need to consider. Their numbers are, they bring 3 to Carrington, and I think 2 of them are junior high. Wrestling, I don't know how many wrestlers they bring over to Carrington, but I don't think it's a big number. So I don't know if the football co-op is gonna be in our interest right now. I think the football co-op interest is probably gonna have to lean towards Jamestown and getting that connection going. Because I think if the numbers are above the 150, are we automatically out of football next year with Valley City, or is that number gonna help kind of determine if we're still gonna be co-op with them? Or still
Right now, we have no co-op. That co-op is dissolved.
Right.
Then Val City
Currently,
already voted.
Valley
Yeah.
City,
They
yes,
voted that down.
and it was approved by high school activities, so basically, after looking at the numbers, we would have to, the high school activities would have to give us a firm yes. We'll let you co-op with your numbers for the next X number of years, and then we would have to reapply for a football co-op with Valley City.
Okay, okay. So that's how that would work with those numbers then.
And why don't we know those numbers yet?
Because the STARS enrollment, the state enrollment, has not closed yet. So not every school has probably submitted their enrollment numbers for the year.
But do we know our enrollment numbers?
Yes,
Does
ours have
Valley
been
know theirs?
submitted. Josh did not say anything when I talked to him yesterday about that. But that's what the 4 of us are gonna meet about coming up here and sit and look at those. When those numbers are DPI finalized, look at those numbers and then look at our free and reduced from last year, because we won't have those numbers. Because that plays a part into the adjusted numbers, which they look at and see where those numbers sit.
And what about like IEPs, does that make a big
No.
adjustment too? No.
No,
Okay.
free and reduced is the kicker, which will drop those numbers a little bit, but
So when do we have to, I know I've asked this all the time, but when do we have to have our football co-op?
but
When do we have to have a football co-op in place?
there's always the emergency co-op option for that, and in talking to Matt Fetch, we could do that in like July of next year.
Could that be with Buchanan? I mean, we'd have to have a field at that point.
Correct, yes, could it be? I mean, it could be with probably anybody.
Because
I
that
shouldn't say
seems
anybody,
like a
but-
long shot, but the fact that they're bringing 3 kids, I mean, how many kids don't wanna play at Carrington? Because there's how many, and it's tough, because if you don't have a solid commitment from kids, but there were a lot of kids at this school that said they'd play football if it wasn't with Valley City.
And the thing with that, Eric, and I understand what you're getting at there too. They can get us numbers, they can go ahead and do a survey over there of what kids would participate with football right now. We can do the same thing over here. Now we're talking about, we don't have a field, they don't have a field, we don't have equipment, they don't have equipment. Now we're talking about that huge finance with starting that football program. And let's say 16 kids between the 2 of us, schools, let's say 9 through 12, decide that they wanna play 9-man football. 16 kids you can do 9-man football with. Well, by the time football starts, are those 16 kids gonna stay committed?
Right.
Or are we gonna get down to 11 kids that are gonna be out for football when it opens up? So that's something that we have to consider too, but
Well, absolutely,
definitely
but
do
it's
a
not
survey.
fair to the kids to not know what that cost would be.
yes.
I mean, we need to figure out how possible that
And
is.
I
before
think
we
it's, I
just
mean,
say
you're
no.
looking at high school level. I think it starts way before high school level. I mean, if you can't have a junior high program, you're never gonna have a high school program, I mean. And
But we
then
have,
where do
we
you
have
start
that
before
right now, it's just all with Valley City.
Right.
Football
But you have
helmets.
to have numbers for it as well.
We have
Football
5 in the
helmets, I
junior.
know right now, football helmets are $400 a pop. And they gotta recondition those every 2 years. They're gonna do the same thing with shoulder pads. I think they're gonna do the same process with shoulder pads, is that they want those reconditioned every 2 years as well. It's gonna be a cost. We can try to figure out those numbers for, you know, a certain amount of people. But again, you're gonna have to go down to the junior high, and then if we ever think about elementary or a Thunder type of program, whatever the case might be, then we'll just have to think about those as well. Yeah.
That'd more than likely be club, it wouldn't be through the school anyways.
Right,
Thunder
but,
as well.
but are we gonna provide the equipment for them,
Right.
or what? I mean, that's something that we wanna think too, if we're gonna bring those kids in.
On the club side, there already is a club with a checking account and equipment on that.
With, through us?
No, it's a club. It was that Little Giants.
Yeah, but
That-
Right, I mean,
Yeah.
through
Right.
this community here.
Right,
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's all to consider, but this is what we.
I mean, it,
We gotta look at all the
likelihood of it
options.
happening, but we gotta at least know the numbers.
Yeah,
I mean, we
I
can't
agree.
just
I
say
agree
it's not an
100% with that.
option, not pay attention to it. I mean, we just put 50 grand into a basketball court, we at least can look into having a football team.
But that would also mean that they would be done with Carrington though too. If they don't wanna be done with Carrington, that's not even an option
Right.
with that then. So, yeah. That's pretty much it with extracurricular.
do we need to do we need to do anything as a board on the Finger Buchanan thing, or are we still in
Again,
wait?
again, it's a sit wait right now.
It's just sit and wait, right?
How
Stacy
how
said,
much,
because we're kind of waiting for
Yeah,
them to
yeah.
see where they're gonna go with it.
the only question I have is how much lead time do we need to prepare a survey and disseminate it if if they say in 2 weeks go, can we turn and do a survey within 2 weeks?
I
We
think-
talked to, the committee, we talked about this in committee.
Okay.
Because obviously the one under a timeline right now is volleyball.
Yep.
Has to
Right.
be done by the end of the year. We are not going to jump into a co-op to save $500.
Okay,
Because that's what the cost is. We are going to, if they come back to us and say, we are interested, there's so many things to look at as far as game sites and
Oh, yes.
nicknames, I mean,
Yes, yes.
all that stuff. For that if, we'll pay the $500 if it comes to that, but if we're gonna do it, or if we even get to that point, we're gonna make sure this is what we're gonna do, this is what we wanna do, because the idea is, like we talked about, this isn't something that's gonna happen for 3 to 5 years. I mean, if we're gonna take this leap, it's gonna be for a while. We're not gonna co-op hop,
correct.
Right.
you know, for the
Absolutely.
next whatever, was the conversation that we had a little bit with it too. So before we do anything, survey, all that stuff will be part of our decision whenever it may be.
And like Eric said, costs, parts,
Correct.
yeah, all that stuff.
Yes.
Well, and how
Just
much of
saying.
this is Pingree Buchanan calling Medina's bluff, and Medina will come back with a negotiation, and they'll just stay the way they are?
I don't think it's gonna happen. I think Medina's gonna be I think Medina wants it done.
So they got the numbers to just go on their own?
Yep, they do. They believe that they have the numbers to sustain it. But, yep, I think Medina wants it done. And I think the Pingree County community members are fed up with Medina too. So I think it's a kind of a back and forth battle right now. Lucas was talking to me too at that meeting. I think he said that they were having a meeting Monday night or Tuesday night, Pingree Buchanan, in that community to talk about some of this stuff. So he was gonna report back to me on that meeting. I haven't got anything back yet from him, but
I respect and appreciate your guys' consideration. We don't want to be co-op hopping. Just like we don't want to be stealing teachers or kids or whatever. We want to be good neighbors, so.
yeah, if we're gonna do it, we wanna
Yeah.
do it for the long haul, if that's
Right.
where we're gonna pursue this.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stacy. Like I say, budget and finance, it's gonna come up pretty much all in budget, because you rolled through a lot of it. So. Secondary handbook eligibility.
So tying into the athletic side that we were just talking about. So we've done eligibility for 2 weeks now, and both weeks it's been kind of a clunky process. The current way that we do it is that Thursday there's a preliminary check with warnings going out, and then Monday morning at 8:20 I tell kids that they're ineligible at 8:30. I don't like that. The 2 weeks I've done it, I've had to tell kids the day of that they're not playing in a game that night. So I'd rather warn them on Wednesday, finalize it Friday to go into effect on Monday. A lot less problems when I'm pulling kids in that, literally I had a kid wearing jersey that I had to say, you're not playing tonight.
I'm sure parents and coaches would appreciate that more
A
too.
little heads up they'd appreciate, then an email, right when it's kicking in, so, yeah.
Mr. Schaefer has.
With that one, I was gonna talk to you, Mr. Locken, about that. I completely space it out, but I do have maybe something to talk about with that eligibility, if you wanna consider that too. But we can sit down and talk about that tomorrow.
Okay.
Cause I talked to a school about what they can do with eligibility, and that might be something that might be of interest as well.
Okay. Yeah, and when we did it at Pheasant, we did it Thursday and mailed out letters Thursday at noon. And then it went into effect Monday to Monday, so,
Mailed out paper letters?
yeah,
Mail does not get anywhere
I
in 2
know,
days.
that's the thing,
I don't think
Or a
we
week.
did Friday.
Yeah.
so,
Or Monday.
yeah.
Sometimes not till 3:30.
That's why I did email, which has worked pretty well, email the kid and the parents, so they both get the same email, what they're failing, what percent, everything.
So what do you
Mr.
want to do with
So
this?
what do
Are
we
you-
need?
So, changing wording on like the procedure part,
Just-
so
Yeah.
I had the proposed wording.
Right,
Yeah.
but
Day.
if
But
you're
if you're
looking to,
meeting-
if you're meeting with Mr. Schaefer, or are we looking to approve what you're proposing
I'm
right now?
not sure what Mr. Schaefer has to.
Well, we can talk about that tomorrow. Do you wanna do it tonight, or?
We're looking to approve his change tonight.
Okay. I talked to one school, and what they do is they go Monday to Monday.
Mhm.
And then what they do is they give a grace period, so if a kid's ineligible Monday, they will give them until Wednesday to try to get it up. And if it's not up Wednesday, then they're automatically done until next Monday. So they give them kind of a couple days to get that grade up.
So they're really ineligible for a couple days.
Well, they're ineligible, but they can't participate until they get that grade up by
Oh.
Wednesday.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
So if they get that grade up by Wednesday, then they're
Oh, so
good for
it's like the
Thursday,
same,
Friday,
but
Saturday.
Mhm.
Okay.
So
But if
So they're
not,
out
then
Monday
they're
to
still- So
Wednesday.
they're still out until. they
So when I
get
do
that
like my
grade up.
preliminary for the next week, Wednesday, they could be eligible again for the rest of that week,
Right.
you're saying, okay.
So that's something that I talked to, since I kind of deal with eligibilities as well.
Mhm.
That's something that I talked to other schools about, and if you wanna consider that, if you wanna redo this, that's up to you guys. That's just something that I forgot to bring to your attention, I apologize on that, I wanted to get it before the board meeting, but.
But could we approve this
Yes.
idea for tonight, as
So at
moving
least we can
forward?
just right
Dude.
now.
And then you guys
Yeah.
discuss it more
Then
and talk
modify with
about
the
it, and
grace.
if we have
Yeah.
to modify it, we can modify it.
Cause I'd like to do this starting right away as soon as tomorrow.
Well, this
Right.
is better than the
Yeah.
prior.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then I
That
would
could be
like
a
to look at
potential.
adding
Then
that
look
too.
into that more.
Yep,
Okay,
So what you got proposed is what we're looking at for right now.
yep.
so we would need a
We
motion?
would need a motion.
I'll make a motion to, how do I word it? To approve the new
Wording.
eligibility wording
Yep.
in the handbook?
Sure.
That's, or you make it better.
Just moving it back a day from what
Moving it back,
in the
yeah.
handbook right now.
Yep.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Eric, any other discussion? Not, roll call, Lindsay.
Michelle.
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
Cody.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
DJ.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Okay.
Being we've reopened the handbook. How's the cell phones going?
Well, I talked to
You
them.
just said
That was in there. Oh, you.
Give her here.
It's in his secondary report,
Yeah.
and he said it, and it
Yeah,
read out
said
loud.
it went well.
Yeah, yeah, the only class that had issues was the dual credit English when I had my staff
But
meeting, so.
are you having issues with kids having them in their pockets all the time, walking from class to class?
Like, what kind of issues do you mean?
Well, is that allowed?
Yeah, it currently is.
So they can sit through all class with their phone, they just can't be on it?
And some teachers have them, like, in one classroom, they have a shoe hanger they put them in, I know, for example. One classroom, they all put them on the same table when they come in, so.
And, well, alright.
We'll keep
Mhm.
monitoring.
Keep monitoring that.
Every staff meeting, I'll bring it up, and if there's, I'll put it in my report every month, so.
Okay. Roll into new business, the annual school compliance report is not completed, we're gonna table that.
Can't, I'm still waiting on a pre-service teacher to get ESPB approval for it, so
Our side or ESP side?
ESPB's side.
Okay.
Now, I was waiting for the letter from the college for their, just for them to write off on it, which is a two-sentence thing, and finally got that, so now it's in ESPB's hands, which they know it's coming. They have all the other documentation for it, so I'm just hoping it's a quick, but Danielle and David cannot approve that school compliance until everybody is up to speed, or we write exceptions in there. And if this wouldn't get approved, which it will, we'd have to write an exception like we did last year for a long-term sub for our music position for the first
But
semester.
we're waiting, so.
But we're waiting,
Table.
when this gets approved,
Tabled.
then it's just nothing, which then means
Which-
I can't approve my LEA compliance
Which
report.
piggybacks right to the next one, which is also tabled.
Which unfortunately, I will forewarn you that we're gonna have to have a Zoom special meeting to approve this at some point. It'll be a 30-second meeting
Not a big deal.
before the end of the month.
So our deadline
So
is
I-
9:30 on both reports?
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah, so I apologize for that, but I'd rather, I wanna do it this way instead of you having to approve something that's not
Not done.
legit yet, so.
Okay,
Thank you.
so we'll roll to the 2024-2025 final budget, which we talked a lot about during the budget hearing beforehand, but
I guess I don't have a lot to add
Right.
from that, so.
we got a deficit of, just roll the deficit that we're
Just That
projecting.
we note that we moved around a couple of things in capital equipment between OMP and transportation because they fit into different categories, skid steer or whatever. All the salaries are updated on here, all the benefits are updated because everyone's enrollments are done. We factored in some extra sub pay because we know we have some teachers out on maternity leave this year or will have. We budgeted for, filling the junior high position, filling fifth grade position, increase some of the line items for Mr. Locken because he's doing that extra mentorship program and some of the extra training, so more travel, all those things. There was a pretty significant reduction on page 6 under the tuition and other LEAs, because the CDE classes that since we're offering more stuff in-house and getting kids in there, last year we paid $8,300-ish one semester and $8,600 the second semester, one or the other. This year we paid $229 for 2 classes
Wow.
each, so, and then next semester, Mr. Locken, as of now, or last we talked, he didn't have anyone signed up,
anybody yet,
so that'll be a nice cost savings and get some kids educated here face to face. We changed the special ed number a little bit because we got those updated numbers. You'll see the Title V reduction, $10,000 less than what the federal government had initially said they were gonna give us. The ESSER funds are 100% spent. I've claimed all of them. I got the final approval today for the last $5,000. I think $5,063 or something, or $5,003.06, and that's reflected on here, so that will be the end of that. You'll see that ugly negative number at the end of $893,000. But we had, a $2.15 million carryover from last year, because we were, anticipating some of these years of losing the transition funding and whatnot, so. And as far as mill levies go, based on my best estimate for property tax valuation, which we discussed earlier too,
Griggs County won't give me an estimate, so I made it up. I looked at some trends from prior years and made an estimate, and based on that estimate, we would be able to levy the 70 mills in the general fund, but if valuations would come in below last year's number, then we could levy the same dollar amount as last year, because Century Code allows that, so. And then we're looking at 12 miscellaneous mills and 5 mills in the building fund, just to recoup some of those expenses that we've had this year in the building fund in the last year.
I think our mills for building fund has been 0 for a couple years.
Couple
in a
years,
row
yeah.
here, so.
Yep.
Which
We
we
maybe
were
weren't-
told we shouldn't.
We maybe weren't the best, we maybe should have done a couple here or there, so.
And when I started, we pretty consistently were levying 10 mills in the building fund, and we haven't levied 10 mills in several years, so.
Yeah.
So we're gonna kind of smooth that out a little more, so.
What was the special?
12.
12.
Miscellaneous, no
No
special
special
reserve.
reserve.
No special.
No special
And
reserve,
miscellaneous go into the general fund, they're just a different classification.
which is,
Okay,
well,
could
we
you
can take
read them all
12.
again?
Yep, 70 mills in the general fund, or the same dollar amount as last year,
Yeah.
whichever is greater. And then 12 miscellaneous mills and 5 mills in the building fund.
Miscellaneous was 9 last year, 12
Yep.
this year.
And 12 is the max we can
Yep,
take.
I won't go any further.
And building was 0?
Building
Last
is
year.
5.
0 was last year, 5
5
this
this
year,
year.
yes.
Okay.
That's what our recommendation is. Any questions on budget?
And if you want copies, I have copies of the budget, but it was in the packet. so.
I'll make a motion to approve this.
No, it can't just be that.
Yep.
It's gotta be this.
We gotta clarify our general
Sorry.
fund.
I can do it and you can second. The motion is to approve the 2024-2025 budget and to levy 70 mills in the general fund or the same dollar amount in the general fund as last year, whichever is greater. 12 miscellaneous mills and 5 mills in the building fund.
I'll second.
Second. Any other discussion? If not, Lindsay, roll call on the budget.
DJ,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Cody,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Yes, it's a big deficit, so we're gotta start
Yeah.
looking.
But,
Food service? Ish,
Or-
anything?
I mean, we can discuss it, I don't know
What's
where
that?
you wanna go with food service.
Oh, yeah, we should do that too.
Wanna just-
Approve that budget? Should I have to explain the, we said the budget was for the general.
That was
fund.
for general.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
food service is different, because this is
Yeah.
paperwork I have to file with
Right.
the
That's-
county.
This is kind of
Food
just our
service is just
guidelines,
ours.
in-house guidelines.
Right.
So,
Food service
What do we
budget is
do?
kept in a
Oh.
separate,
The other things that
have
were
to do anything
approved,
with
I have
No,
to
but-
file with the county. Like,
Right.
I have to request that. But food
Right.
service, we've talked about, we
Right.
talked about it at the tax hearing. Not everyone was at the tax
Oh,
hearing.
sorry.
This is our
Yes.
official board
So-
meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
so we set a food service budget,
Okay, sorry.
basically.
right,
I was
Um,
confused.
through the committee, set at, I mean, it's just, you set at 100 or 150.
50.
50
No.
is for the food itself,
So-
but the budget
162,
itself,
250.
yes,
163.
for that, because there's been conversation.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
you haven't updated, but this is my notes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sounds like even prior to me or Joey or anybody else about conversation about a food service budget. And really, that was about the only area that was not a budgeted area. Everybody else is under general fund or someplace
Yep.
for that. So
Building
put
fund
that,
doesn't. Building
account.
fund doesn't, but that's
That's a
constrained
different-
expenses, yes,
right.
yes. There's
uh,
other stipulated rules to that.
for that. So we set the budget at $150,000. Joey and I had a conversation, she's not a fan of that number for that, but I think part of it is, it might be a little bit, I think she, like I said, took it a little personal right away, which it's not, because we're all under budget. It's just a matter of accountability and looking at where we can maybe cut some expenses for that. This report, I mean, you can approve it, you can not approve it, but, I mean, we're gonna follow it. This report does not go to the state or anything like that. This is for our purposes, so that food service is also under that accountability platform as well. just like the rest of us are, and, we had a good conversation, we've had a couple of them, good one today, and she's been working on it. She's got ideas about what she can do, so I think it's just being cognizant of looking at that on a monthly basis of how much am I spending and where are areas that we could possibly save, with that, so that's where we're at with it. And, yeah, Budget Finance Committee, feel free to,
Just the revenues on this report are exactly what the actual is from last year.
Right.
There is a small uptick in cost to families per meal, and we anticipate the count of meals to be served to be similar due to the flat enrollment and so forth. So we think the student and adult sales stuff there is probably gonna be pretty consistent, but maybe just a slight uptick. Is there any chatter? I mean, state reimbursement fund rates have been set for the year already. That comes through the Department of Ag or whatever, right?
yeah.
And Fed reimbursements, nothing, I'm assuming, no adjustments there or
No
anything.
adjustments, I mean,
So, we think these will be there.
right.
So we're just trying
So
to,
it's a budget,
yep,
for that. It's a starting point for us, really, if, with not having a actual
Right.
hot lunch budget in the past, it's a starting point for us. When we hit 150, are we gonna stop serving meals? No, we are not. We will do that, but it's still, you have to set a number as a, as an aiming point for that. So that's kind of the idea of the committee and the idea of going behind this. Nobody's pointing
And
fingers,
this is-
nobody's doing
and to
anything.
reiterate, this is food and food
Yeah,
supplies.
it isn't the salaries at all.
Salaries and benefits are all within the general
And
fund.
that was up about 28
$28,000
grand.
last year to this year. So we understand there is going to be additional expenses in the food service, school lunch, whole area, but we're just trying to have
Right.
something
And
here.
we understand it's a 19% cut, I mean, off of prior years, but like I said, I mean.
Off
we
of
have
last
to-
year, not
After last year,
yes.
yes, but we have to start someplace.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we thought last year in the trending was maybe a little bit of an anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been, like Mr. Curry said, there were some things that we found out that students maybe were doing that kind of put a dent in Joey's budget a little bit too. So we're hoping to have mitigated some things there, so.
So,
Is there a reason why you got a balance of $27,000 on that then? Is there a
Some
goal
of
to
that-
have that much money left
No,
over?
No.
it's just that at the end of the year, DPI dictates that you can only have 3 months' value of expenses in the account. So if that number would be above that, whatever that magic number is that I determine after the school year, then it would get transferred to the general fund to help offset salary expenses.
And you'll see
And we
that in
have
the
that agreement
2020,
with the state.
2021, and 2022.
Yep, that's that line at the bottom where it says interfund transfers. So those few years, the 88,000 and the 65,000 were the COVID years where they were paying for everyone's meals. And so we had an excess amount of funds in the food service, so it helped the general fund offset salaries. And the rationale for keeping salaries in the general fund was because we can actually afford to pay them, where if they were being paid out of food service, the account would literally be negative every single time I process payroll. So.
So what happens when that 150,000's gone? They have to come to the board for more?
No, we
No,
sit
that's
down and
just
address, we sit down and address and look at
Here's
it
the goals.
at the end of the
Yes,
year,
on food,
where are
and
we
that's
at?
just on,
Well,
Through Lindsay's accounting software, Eric, every month, there's a
When you get
report.
the expenditure
Right.
report every month, if you look at the general fund one, the budget line, the budget column has numbers in it. Going forward, the food service one will have numbers in it too, and then it'll give you that percentage spent each month.
Towards your budget, yeah.
Well, and we obviously needed this, but that 150,000, I mean, that's, you're putting out actual 22, 23. I mean, food costs has increased quite a bit. How much quality are we gonna drop versus efficiency of how we're ordering our food is gonna increase?
And I
Where-
think that's
where is
what
it
we're
gonna
looking
change?
at by doing this, is exactly the two things that you're talking about. You talk quality, do we always have to get name brand, can we get off brand?
But who's gonna be the one overseeing to make sure that we're not just dropping the quality of food we have and not putting more work into it, and that we're actually keeping the decent food, but putting the work into it to be more
The budget
efficient
was
on our
The
spending.
budget,
Yep.
that was discussed in
Yep.
budget committee, and the intent is not to do that. We think this, with smart planning and a weekly cost approximately, some days will be more, some days will be a little less type thing on type of food, but we, that is a value that we consider. We do not want to have kids go hungry, and we don't want kids to be peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every day. That is not a goal with this in any way, so that was considered, and it's a very valid point.
So what kind of oversight is there gonna be on it?
We will watch on a
Well,
monthly basis.
We'll see it monthly on the report.
You see it monthly on the expenditure, I mean, pretty much everybody, I don't hardly ever eat lunch or breakfast, so I'm a poor person to ask, but if there was something that is not good or not whatever, I usually hear about it for that. And then with this, I mean, Joey and I have some different ideas on what we think could be efficient and what we think couldn't, which is fine. So she'll try hers, I'll try mine, and that's how we'll kind of maybe figure some things out. She's had conversations with Lindsay. Lindsay's helped her out on, you know, how about looking at this? How about Cavendish? How about whatever else for that, as far as looking at places to
Doing
get
a lot of
stuff.
price comparison
Correct.
on US Foods versus Sam's,
Yeah.
because Sam's ships to us for free, and the prices are significantly different, and not so many packets and more bulk, and not throwing
There's a
away
lot
a
of
lot of
things,
food at
yeah.
the end of the day, and trying to actually plan to serve the students what will be consumed instead of a lot of waste, so.
No, I mean,
Which-
I think that's all
Which,
great.
even
and
in my
important, I just don't
conversation
wanna
today, I think the mentality has already changed, and that, yes, I've been doing this, I'm looking at these things. What can we continue to do with all areas? I mean, like, conversation is, I mean, talking about hot lunch, but we go through that one you just approved,
Yeah.
and
Could
we
be
do
the same
that
thing.
every day,
Right.
every month with that one as well, for that. So it's really no different with this one. Yeah, we get to 150, we're not gonna stop serving lunches, but end of the year, we're gonna look at it, and we're gonna see, are there places that we
And
could have
then
been
that
more efficient?
that excess revenue will not be 27,000, obviously. So
Right.
there is, I mean, there's some wiggle room there too, so.
Do we want to have a motion to approve this as an administrative thing, or is this something we just want done?
I don't think,
not a-
no, I think it's an administrative thing. I don't think we have to
Okay.
do anything with it. We just want
It
you
is
to
the-
understand what we've tried to put together. We want
Right.
some parameters in there, and that's
And
what
then
we
just so
started
you
with.
know,
You're
next
gonna see
month,
it.
you'll see it on,
It'll be
And
input.
then we
and
understand it.
and I will put it in the end of the month, so, yeah, it should be on the report, I think, if I, what month
Yeah.
I send you at a time, but yeah.
And then it'll catch up, so you'll see 2-3 months into that, which obviously there's only a month of
Yeah.
schools.
Right.
Okay,
Thank you.
So hopefully it answers the questions for all of us, that we can continue the conversation.
okay, so next we have the donation that we usually do to the BCN Dance, the archery, and the trap clubs.
I didn't miss any, did I? It was
No,
those
it
three,
was just those
correct?
three.
Those
And
three.
we intended to put this on the July board meeting and
Yeah.
then didn't think about it until I have in my notes for September to pay them, so. Sorry.
Is there a, do we have to do the motion, or can we talk the dollar amount?
It's always been $1,000.
It's always been
Okay, that's what I wanted to
Yeah.
decide.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, we do need a motion, and it's always,
Do you want them
Yeah.
separately?
No, I
No,
would
we
say
do it
just
together.
approve $1,000 each for.
Make a motion to approve $1,000 donation to BCN Dance, Archery, and Trap.
is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, roll.
Yeah, is this something that I should declare that my wife is the coach of the dance team? Is this something I should be voting on?
We can decide. Eric said that, so we would make a motion if he could vote or not vote on it. He declared a conflict.
I motion to allow Eric Broughton to vote for the
Okay.
donation request on
I
the
second
agenda.
it.
Okay, vote is to allow Eric to vote, and seconded. Roll call on that first.
Give me 1 second. Mike,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Cody,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes?
DJ,
Yes.
Tyler.
Not here.
Oh, I'm
Not
sorry.
here. He'd go for it.
You can't vote on it.
All right. Lee, did I miss you? Sorry.
No, I said yes.
I got it, yeah.
Okay, now we have a motion for the donate, the $1,000 donation. Roll call there, Lindsay.
DJ,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Cody,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Next item is E, which Stacy talked a little bit about, but that is something we've.
We're in the works of
That's tabled.
working on
We have to
compensation.
motion to table, don't we? Do you have to motion to table?
We didn't done the
Yes,
other
we did
ones.
on the
Well,
other
I'm
ones.
just, I don't know.
They're not, it's not ready to be presented.
Correct.
Hopefully by next board meeting.
Right.
Or if we have that special one, if we've got it figured out, we'll run that through real quick on that.
Okay,
Yeah. Either all of them are not ready to be presented to us.
got it.
Policy service agreement, how much is that for this time around? You got a number?
I don't know why Mr. Curry put this on there, so I don't know.
Because I look back at like past, and we've always approved our
Right.
membership, our policy service agreement with School Board Association of, I don't remember what the cost is of it, but we've always just approved that we're basically.
You wanna be
members and using
participating
them
in
For
that.
the
yeah.
legal
Those
services.
services,
Yeah.
correct,
Yeah.
yes.
I think I paid that, I don't think I paid that this month, that would have been,
Yeah.
gosh, a couple months ago,
But
so.
I think that was another July thing that got missed.
We have done this and we'd like to continue, but we
Yes.
do need an official motion.
Motion to approve the North Dakota School Board Policy Service Agreement with BCN, for BCN.
Is there a second?
No, I'll second.
Lee? Lindsay, go.
DJ,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Cody,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes. Convention coming up and delegates.
Yep, so, the convention is October 24th and 25th. It's at the Bismarck Event Center this year, not the old Ramcota. So, that's a change, and I know going forward, it's now gonna be like the beginning part of October, not the end part of October. So, just a heads up on that. BCN has 2 delegates, so, if you people are going, we would need to nominate those delegates, because I would have to have registration in before our next board meeting, so. DJ would have to go to the new member workshop at minimum, but you could go to both days if you wanted. They're usually pretty valuable, I think they've been valuable every time I've gone, so. The new member workshop is from 8 to 2:45 on the 24th. So.
Okay.
And then there's other stuff the rest of that day too.
And you're usually done Friday by,
The
4:30
2:45, 3 o'clock is
Yeah.
that like meeting thing, and if you stay for the meeting to win prizes, then it's, 4 o'clock or something, so. And the first day, I think now they have a social at 6, so the first day could be long if you take part in all of that stuff. so.
What do you have thoughts going?
the only business meeting is on Friday, correct?
Correct.
No.
There's a Thursday business
Thursday
meeting
business.
too.
Oh, last year they canceled it because there was no competing ballot, so they did a unanimous
Yeah.
ballot and nobody had to do anything, so that's why.
I'd be willing to go, because I've got something else where I'm trying to get lined up out there, so
Okay,
I could go.
and DJ's gotta be a yes, so.
Can you do both days?
I'd prefer not to, but
Yeah, I was just gonna say, let's make sure, cause
Anybody else looking to go? Because we can have 2 delegates and an alternate, correct?
I'll go as the alternate if you put them 2 down as our first ones. I wouldn't go the 24th, probably I'd just go the 25th, so I could be the other half of DJ.
That was the only, cause I won't register you guys until closer to the deadline and
Mhm.
whatever, but.
We would
just
need
so
a
we have
motion
the
for
delegates.
those people.
Can I do it myself? I'll motion Mike Schwer and DJ Morris as the delegates for the BCN School Board, and Jennifer Bollingberg as the alternate.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Michelle? When you're ready, Lindsay?
Cody,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
DJ,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes. You have on your unpaid leave request.
Yes, I have two of them. Do you want to read them?
You can go for it.
Okay. The first one says, this is my request for unpaid leave on October 7th, 2024. I'll be taking 5.5 hours of unpaid leave. This will be personal leave, well, it'll be unpaid leave. And that's for John Samuelson. And the other one is just a request for 2 unpaid personal days due to scheduled vacations during the 2024-2025 school year, and that one's for Tracy Heinze.
Do we need the dates or not?
I
I mean, do we
don't have
need the
dates,
dates?
so I don't know.
We don't. Do we
We,
need?
in
the
the
We only
past,
need-
we haven't always.
Okay, that was my question. Okay, as long as we just have 2 days, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We'll do them separate. The first one is for John Samuelson, is for 5.5 hours.
Yep,
On October 7th.
Yeah.
yep.
I'll make a motion to approve John Samuelson's 5.5 hours of unpaid leave request.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Eric? Any other discussion? If not, Lindsay, roll call.
Mike,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
DJ,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Cody.
Yes.
Okay, the other one is for 2 days for Tracy Heinze.
Motion to approve 2 days of unpaid leave request by Tracy Heinze.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Michelle? No discussion, roll call, Lindsay.
Mike,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Cody,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
DJ.
Yes.
Okay. Roll to some of our miscellaneous stuff, Family Connection.
The only thing with Family Connection is they left Keat City Bank her request to not have the BCN address on the account, and so they will be opening a new account at Bank Forward.
Okay,
That's all I have right now.
okay. Career and Tech. Mr. Locken touched base on the stuff you're going to Wapaton.
Yeah, that's good opportunities for him.
And so, welding tomorrow, you talked about 3, there's 34 kids going for welding tomorrow, and then October 2nd is the health one. That's 2 going to,
From Valley City.
the whole
From the
whole center, yes.
Okay, 3 from
Three
us.
from ours.
Gotcha.
3 from there is 34 total
Is it a
there.
statewide thing, or is it just a Valley City initiative type thing?
Pretty
Or Cheyenne Valley
much,
City?
we've always gone down
Okay,
there,
just
yes,
wondering
yes.
if it was a-
We also went to field trip, we took ag, to UAS, and an ag field trip was actually Bonanzaville, but that worked through NDSU and that type of thing, that's we've already done. But out of that trip, it looks like we're gonna maybe get some donations, some for more drones and stuff like that they're gonna be giving us, which was great when we went down there, and they talked about all the stuff they can do with them, helping our ag teacher what we can use with the drones and some of that type of stuff. So it was very beneficial when we went down there. Staffing, we did hire that extra helper or whatever around, so we got that hired there. He actually worked as custodian, so in Fargo, one of the Fargo high schools, so, and he coaches track. I think Mike's gonna coach track at the high school and at Valley City State, so. But it's worked real well, especially with the construction, get another hand on deck there that can float around and be a little more overseeing, especially in auto and some of these classes that we've got a lot of kids in. We talked a little about enrollment. Mr. Curry talked about it, ours works the same way as on percentage of, not that go there, but who can go to the center. So we did a lot of talking on enrollments. Just go to ours, BCN was down 1 person from what we've sent last year. Valley City's down 23.
eligible or
No,
participatory?
this is participants.
Okay,
But so overall, we've got 182 students going there, which is down 10. But the student units were up. We're at 299 student units. So an example would be Dylan going in welding. he's considered 2 units because he's doing 2 periods. So student units are not 1-to-1, he's like, that, some of them.
How long they're in the building.
Right.
Yes, so our student units has gone up and we're at 299, so they say 300 student units is what we're teaching. So that number's up, our actual in the door is down 10 people. So we went through that and some projections and stuff for a lot of enrollments. Building wise, all the underground stuff is done. The water's in, the sewer's in, the footings are in, other than the construction shop, because they that's where they're staging everything, but a couple pictures here from the other day, footings are in, they're starting to pour walls for the 2 classrooms to the west, the office space, and then there's some work done inside with the bathrooms, those are gutted, and they're working on the spots for the office in there, so. They're on schedule, according to what everybody says for right now. I was up there today, they're setting the forms for the office part. And once those are set and poured, then they can start moving over to the construction shop area. But everything, we've got the MDU lines moved, the water sewer, everything, all the concrete brake tests all came back good. Everything so far has been, there's been hiccups, but it's rolling pretty fair. But so, that's about what I've got for up there for right now, unless anybody has any other questions. Then those were taken just yesterday when I was up there when they were pouring some of them walls. You don't have any questions? We'll turn to Cheyenne Valley Special Ed.
Yeah, pretty quick meeting the other day, approved our organizational plan for over there. Majority of our conversation was on, occasionally we have to send kids to Ann Carlson for behaviors or for autism or for whatever reason. We were looking at the idea, would it be more beneficial if someplace within the unit we created a self-contained classroom and actually hired somebody to supervise, teach within that self-contained classroom within the district? Would that ultimately be a cost savings to us instead of, the Anna Carlson Center, which is usually about $80,000, whatever, per kid for that. I mean, you could hire, a teacher and an aide for that. So that was a lot of our conversation, along with a behavior interventionalist, which our new director, that is her background, is a behavior interventionalist. She did that in Florida for many years, and so right now she doesn't think we need one within the unit, but a lot of it depends upon where we go with the self-contained classroom. And with my meeting today with other superintendents from the east, we're kind of in the initial stages of talking with Seek and South Valley and Northern Cass of, are there some ways we could work together in the near future to become more efficient and to maybe share some of these services, especially when we talk behavioral interventionalists and those. I mean, it's good to have on, great to have on hand, on staff. If and we see more and more behaviors, but all of a sudden you don't have a big uptick in them, you gotta find work to fill time for that. So that was a lot of what our meeting was about the other day with that, so.
Okay. Any questions? Not, I guess.
Just a comment, the next
Yeah.
meeting is on Tuesday. It's Tuesday, October 15th.
Okay. And with that, we're adjourned.
I will not be here on the 15th.
I'll be here, but I'll probably be watching volleyball.